Hey, everybody, welcome to the Courage to Grow show with generally it's Jeff and Joe. Jeff's not here. He's spending some quality time with his family. So it's Courage to Grow with Joe. And I'm really stoked to have you guys here with us because I've got a special guest who I've known for decades. And his sales experience in terms of stories, in terms of laughter, in terms of success, in terms of some of the struggle and to be able to grow into something where he's literally living the dream. I'm thrilled to have my good friend and colleague and mentor back and forth, Ryan Ragnow. Welcome to Courage to Grow show. Good to see you, man.
Well, no, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me. It's been a long time. We actually haven't been together personally in quite a few years.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, pre-COVID, I mean, I had traveled quite a bit, and you unfortunately had to come to Winnipeg for a funeral, and we got an opportunity to see each other back then, and it's always great to see you, man. So why don't you tell those that are watching or those that are listening, tell people what it is that you're doing right now. What is it that you do in sales?
Okay, for the last 24 years, I've been in the nutritional health products industry, predominantly working with one company, Fit Foods, which you know well.
Yeah.
And I've worked with other companies as well. I still do, but Fit Foods is sort of my primary focus. So fundamentally, anything you're going to find in any nutrition store, health food store, sports supplement store, grocery stores now a lot of times,
Yeah.
pharmacies. The FDM channel or Food, Drug, and Mass channel has become huge in the industry. Obviously online as well, but brick and mortar is what we still call it. And that's my job, and I'm on Vancouver Island. Beautiful place to be. I don't really have to leave the island, which is awesome. Where I'm sitting is my office, kind of like yours.
Yeah,
And
love it.
That's a treat. So yeah, I sell or represent these brands, and and I've been doing it for a long time. I've been in the health and fitness industry, as you know, for over 40 years.
Yeah.
So between running gyms, owning gyms, fitness equipment store, where I met you first.
That's where we connected. Yeah.
Selling fitness equipment, and then made the transition to. It's one of those stories. It's like where I was training hard, I was bodybuilding, I was powerlifting. I couldn't find sports supplements. I couldn't find protein powder, and I was running a fitness store at the time.
Yeah.
So I started looking. I found a couple of brands. This is way before current day stuff, and and I ended up finding a couple of brands. One of the brands was a company called NHF. My rep was Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon is now the president and CEO of Fit Foods.
Right.
And
for those who don't know Fit Foods, the brand that most people would be surprised to hear is a bodybuilding brand that you might have seen. Even if you're not a bodybuilder, you may have heard of Mutant. And that brand, the marketing that has helped that brand, it is probably something that has allowed you to also open doors into new areas. And so, yeah, I want to get back into the Fit Foods thing a little bit. Let's go back into the start of your career in sales, because you said you were in the gym business. So before you did the exercise equipment sales, you were in the gym business. And we have a lot of people that listen to our show that are in the gym business as well. So what year was it when you were in the gym business, first of all?
When I first moved out to Vancouver in '83, and I was training at a gym, didn't really, wasn't super enamored with what I was doing with university. So I was quite vulnerable. I just was really drawn to the environment. And the guy who owned the club at the time said, "Hey, do you want a job?" And at the time, there was no such thing as a personal trainer. You did everything. You cleaned toilets. You trained people, you sold memberships, you did everything. And I said, sure. 2 months later, I was managing it.
Wow.
And he sponsored me through like all sorts of different sales courses. Dale Carnegie was probably my biggest early influence.
Love it. Great great material there.
Oh, phenomenal. I did everything. And then I ended up becoming, what do they call it? Like it's sort of an assistant where you don't get paid, but you go in and help facilitate, and then you get free courses.
Right.
You can continue on and get other courses for free. But so that was the backbone of my training, and I still believe that it set the groundwork for everything I did. So
It,
sales, basically membership sales was, my first, that was the time of, the beginning of it was still, there were still lifetime memberships around. I mean, the whole,
right.
early
Yeah,
on,
you can't get those anymore.
no, and full family memberships, and it was hardcore. It was hardcore closing, hardcore. I did. There was pressure, but I right away I sensed that I didn't like that. I didn't like the way it was all being done.
Yeah.
Uh, I started creating my own methods, and they were effective. People, my sales went up using a lot of Dale Carnegie techniques, and so what I started to do is, obviously my boss liked it. He said, "Can you train the other guys this way?" I did, and then that club became part of a big club of 5 clubs, which I then ended up running, and that my job was to continue managing and training all the salespeople.
Love it. So you said you went to Carnegie and then you decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep volunteering so I can keep learning. So
Exactly.
obviously it clicked in. The training aspect of this for you was valuable.
It was,
What
it,
what are some of the nuggets that you learned back then in the 80s that you're still applying today?
I think knowing where you are exactly in every sales call. Today, the way my sales now is very different from back then. It's very different than
Sure.
selling high ticket items like fitness equipment or whatnot.
Yeah.
Mine now is more sort of relationship selling, building relationships with my, these I have customers that are for 24 years, and
Awesome.
they're my friends now. So a
Yeah.
lot of, I hate to say it, but you would think that you would rest on your laurels and all of those golden nuggets, as you say, and things that I learned from you and SOS and whatnot would become less valuable. But they still play. They're there every day, and
Right.
you find yourself. You'll say, I'll find myself going, "Oh, wait a minute, I just used that. I didn't." It's just automatic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
automatic.
Well, and that's just it, right? We get to a place of we like to call it unconscious competence.
Yep.
We're in the middle of a conversation and I don't think about it. I run into something and it's like I know exactly what direction to take. It's like a flow chart in our mind. And this is the thing about sales training because right now where I look at your career path and here you were with gym sales, then fitness equipment sales, and now nutrition sales. It's always been a passion. So clearly you're helping people live a better quality of life through the benefits of total health and exercise. And you said something that just completely rings the bell for me, and it's about relationships.
Totally.
You've trained people in sales and trained a lot of people in sales, and in fact, I know that you're doing it now. Here you are, you're saying, "Yeah, I'm a rep." You're so much more than a rep because I know that people are buying from you not because it's just you, because you're bringing value to the table. How many times have you seen in your career somebody's rushing and they're pitching way too soon?
It's constant, especially the newer reps in our industry now. I can really only talk about right now.
Sure.
And I see it all the time. There's sort of a handful of us over here in our little make believe island. Everybody has fun where when we all support each other and whatnot. But then you've got a lot of the newbies coming up, and you kind of watch them, and like, the first thing I always think about is, okay, I've got to talk to this person because they've got to understand what's going on, and it's like product, push you things like, oh god, you have to have it on your shelf. That if I hear that again, I'm going to scream. I swear to God.
Right.
You're telling a business owner that he has to have this product in amongst 30 other products that are in the same category. It's
Right.
sort of a ridiculous statement if you think about it. So they're completely losing the idea of understanding the account, understanding the history, understanding their store, the category, where they at. They're not even asking questions. About, like, for instance, one of the things is if you're presenting a product in a category, the way I always start is I ask them about the category. You know,
Yeah.
what's this category do for you? How well do you do with this category? What are your top sellers? Why are they your top sellers? And then just by through that, they're telling me exactly where my product's going to fit.
Love it.
I
Oh,
don't,
I love it. Ryan, I
I
mean,
don't
this is
have,
why you're such a professional. And this is why people appreciate you because you and I both know this, right? People don't want to be sold. They want to buy. People don't want to be sold. You're in sales. I'm in sales. I hate people selling me. And you nailed it. You're asking questions. You're asking questions.
Right from the very beginning. Even when I don't have, I call it when I'm on a visit, because there are certain calls which are, I have a much bigger agenda, new products to talk about, new promotions, whatever. And there's other times where you don't have as much, but those are just as important. And I use they're my fact finding visits. It's also relationship building. How about the kids? How are your grandkids? Blah, 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 kind of, but it's which is authentic because they're my friends now, and they ask me about my family and what I'm doing personally. But I'm always thinking ahead, and I know what's coming. I know about products that are coming, so I'm always asking questions about a specific category, and or how the market is doing in general, what's hot, what's not, things like that. So it's
I love it because like you come in with to recap this, you said, I come in with an agenda, and it could be a bigger agenda, and yet you have to, what we call ETR. You've got to earn the right. You've got to earn the right to get to a place where it's like, okay, I'm doing my job. My work is I have these great products that when people purchase them and they start using these nutritional supplements, they're living a better quality of life. I'm helping people, and I'm helping these business owners make money while doing that. So that's the overarching reality. To show up at a place or making a phone call, you can't just go, hey, you want to buy my stuff? It's like, what? So the fact that you're coming in with, okay, I know that I'm eventually going to get to this place where I'm going to ask for the order. First and foremost, it's taking that time. And this is where people, I find, especially inexperienced people that aren't taking the time to build a relationship. Well, I mean, think of it. How many places have you been when you think of like the brands that you carry? You carry so many different brands, and yet people are going to buy you first, right?
I was just going to say that a long time ago, when I first started out, there was an older rep, very seasoned, very experienced, and he took me under his wing. He was a mentor. His name was Bill. Worked for a very big company at the time, and I just saw him as a wealth of knowledge. And I said, "Hey, man, can I take you out for a coffee? Go for lunch? I'd love to pick your brain." And he took me under his wing. And one of the first things that I'll never forget this, he said, if you think for a second that the equity of what you're doing is in the products you're selling or in the brands, he said, you're dreaming. Yeah. It's not that. The equity is you. The equity is the relationships, the brand that you're going to build for yourself, of yourself. He said, you're not going to see it for a few years, but if you continue thinking about that and have that in the back of your mind, and you're authentic with it, you're very, very quickly, you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the pack.
I love it. Yeah, you can't, what the thing is, people can smell the bullshit. Let's just call it for what it is. Sure. Right? I mean, if people see, like, they'll see it coming, never mind, they'll be like, what is going on? So it leads me to ask this question, because it's always part of the show that we end up getting laughs out of. It's called Sales Fails. Let's face it, man, we've all made a mistake somewhere along the line in our career. Is there some time, doesn't matter whether it was when you were doing gym sales, whether you were doing exercise equipment sales, or even in nutrition sales now, as a season, wherever. No, probably it's more in your rook. Do you remember a time or a story or two where it's like, Joe, I have to tell you this sales fail? Go ahead and share it with us.
It's funny because I was hoping you were going to ask me something like this. It really was, because it involves you. I consider you one of the few people that I can sort of call a mentor, and I don't.
Thanks, man. Yeah, right back at you. We both learned from each other. It was great.
We learned from each other. But when you were my sales rep in the fitness equipment game, and you live in Winnipeg and you're dealing with everybody across the country, you would only maybe come out a couple of times a year. Yeah. And back then, at that time, anyhow, treadmills were the big thing. It was the big mover. Yeah. It's what kept, if you had a store, fitness equipment store, it's what kept those sales, kept you alive.
Big time.
Obviously, you had to have everything from, inexpensive models right up to super expensive models, just to make sure that you covered all of your bases. But you would come into the store and you would actually stay the whole day. and sort of sell with me and get a feel for the store. And one of the things you asked me, I remember, was what is your average treadmill sale? And I told you, and you said, I think I can increase that by about $1,000. In other words, your average treadmill sale, but I don't know if you remember this or not, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you just do what I tell you to do, it's going to happen. Let's give it a month. Just do what I tell you to do. Just watch. And it was phenomenal. It's the old story of shoot high. If you shoot for the stars, you're at least hit the
Yeah.
moon. You're the
That's
first
it.
person to tell me that. And instead of being scared of the person coming and going, "Oh my God, look at how expensive, $5,000 treadmill. Are you freaking nuts?" And then right away you see their eye go to the $2,000 treadmill or $1,500 treadmill. And what you taught me to do is take them right to the most expensive treadmill, not necessarily to sell them that, but to show them the features and benefits of that particular treadmill. And it's like telling somebody comes in to buy a Ford Focus, and you give their first test drive is in a Mercedes. It's
Right.
the same kind of thing. They may not buy the Mercedes, but
Sure.
they're definitely not going to buy a Ford Focus. They're going to buy something in between.
Yeah.
Right?
We call it the best, better, good approach. So here,
Exactly.
I want to show you the best, because everybody, and this is how I still feel about this today. Everybody that I'm going to speak with, they have the right to try and the option, aka otherwise known as choice. You got the choice to buy the best. If I don't show you the best, you'll never get the opportunity to choose. So I'm going to show you the best one without being pushy. I want to show you this, and then 3 words that I still use today to this, and I love them just for fun. I'm going to show you this one first, and then just for fun, I'm going to show you the baby brother version, and then I'm going to show you the entry level version, and I'm going to let you choose. And I'm going to give it, and in the process, I'm asking questions and giving people the opportunity to figure stuff out, and that's what happens. People who, if I had made the assumption, based on what they drove or based on how they dressed, all they want is, like they're walking in. I don't even know them. I haven't asked them a question. They might have torn jeans, and I'm thinking they can't afford clothes. Meanwhile, it's like, dude, I love these jeans, right? I don't know. That's a huge mistake. So to be able to turn around and go best, better, good. What did it do for your business?
Well, right away within 30, your bet was to sort of a 30-day thing. So I watched it, I applied it, I made sure my guys applied it every single day, and then I said, no, we're not just going to apply this to treadmills. We're going to apply it to all the different categories of things, even from weightlifting gloves and weightlifting belts and all the accessories, because you have a range. And it was phenomenal. Our average treadmill sales increased by $1,200 within 30 days.
I love it.
Our average at the time, obviously, bikes and whatnot, recumbent bikes and things, they increased $500 on average. It was absolutely astounding. And then we just said, okay, that's it. And I remember phoning you and telling you, and I was so excited. And I'm not saying that was a fail. Like before that was a fail. It's just part of the learning process.
Learning curve, for sure.
Learning curve, right? So I don't know if that falls into your fail category or not, but it's
a great story.
After I saw that, like the benefit of that, I thought, wow, am I ever stupid? How could I ever miss this?
The brilliance of it now is that you've got it. So that let me ask you back into the sales, and I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm humbled by it, because it's great, because I know you're doing it now with the because you're dealing with people in categories of product. I mean, how many different product categories are there in quality nutrition, supplementation? I mean, it's huge.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And then there's subcategories, and the stronger the bigger our industry grows, the more competition, the more there's actually like new categories that are created or subcategories. And then you've got people, you have the leader, and then you have 30 other people that are following, going, ooh, I want a piece of that.
Right.
They're cramming stuff down that pipeline as well. But it's there's so many. So the difference now is you really, really have to understand, in my mind, you have to understand the market, the categories, and where you actually sit in those categories. What's the value that what you're offering? Is it quality of product? Is it margin? What is it? And be able to talk to that business owner And first of all, understand you need to know what makes them tick, what gets
Right.
their interest. I have a lot of, I mean, at the end of the day, if it's an independent business owner, making money is what they're there for.
Sure.
So margin. So I tend to look at a lot at margin, and showing them that value benefit. Um, because everybody can say, "Hey, my best product's the best. I have the best quality. I have the flashiest labels, whatever."
Right.
What's going to make the most amount of money for them? But that's not just margin on a piece of paper. That's, we call it push and pull. So my job at the beginning is I'm pushing, right, the products into the store, but at some point there has to be pull. There has to be sell through. So the
Right.
consumer has to come in and want that product. So whether
Right.
that's a result of marketing, maybe it's a result of how well you've trained their staff. I spend a lot of time, way more than anybody else, training staff
I know you do.
on the floor, not only
Yeah.
about products and product categories. I help them actually learn about an entire category, not just mine. But then what happens with that? If I'm the messenger, I bring that knowledge, then what's top of mind? It's my products, my
For sure.
brands that are, and the other thing is I teach them how to sell,
Yeah.
because these people these are advisors. They're not salespeople, right? But as soon as you get permission from the store owner to do a little bit of training, sales training with them, it's phenomenal to increase the basket size. We call it, how many products are buying, multi-product selling, and just simply asking questions, teaching them to ask their consumers questions.
It's so huge, Ryan. I love it, man. And I think back of when I was a rep and I was doing the same thing. I would come in, I would work with you guys, I would work with the team, and I wouldn't even ask for a sale. I would leave, and I was helping not only my treadmills, it was the category. And if you were improving the whole category, yet you could go, what we learned from this guy is that it's helping my business in total. There's a sense of, you know what? I owe it to them. It's called a law of reciprocation. And
Right.
you're doing it now. I remember having a conversation with you. If you and I had chatted for a couple of hours because we hadn't chatted for a long time. And,
Right.
then it was like, dude, you got to come on the show. And it's just so great because I think of the fact that you're spending time even with a brand new rep, a young kid, and they don't know how lucky they are to have someone who, at first, they're looking at you as you're the, Fit Foods rep. And then they start to realize, holy crap, this guy's an encyclopedia. And suddenly their Fit Foods rep is, hey, we got to get more of their product because he's helping me sell everything in the store. And that's the value, coming back to that word that you nailed before. It's not cliche, it's critical, it's relationship. And people don't put enough time into that. And yet, what is that translated to you?
Well, it's really simple. The stronger your relationships are, and the more you become your own brand,
Yeah.
the less objections you're going to get right away. I hate to say it, but
No, it's good.
The harder you work on that, the less I have to rely on, for instance, like SOS,
Right.
nuggets, right? The stuff that we've learned in the past with you. It's much, much, much easier. Generally, I don't even have to ask for the sale. To be honest, I don't. I rarely ask for an order. I rarely ask, will you put this on your shelf? It just happens. And I'm not trying to be cheeky, and
no, it's good.
It's just, all of a sudden I started seeing it. I'm like, wow, okay, this is really working. But then if you keep thinking that way, you lose the authenticity of it. So I just go out every day. Like today, when we're down here, I've got to get ready I'm going to go on the road, see accounts locally. And, I've got my agenda set. What do I have to think about? Planning planning your day becomes way, way more important. Planning every visit. Because a lot of reps go sort of from store to store to store. They don't really have an agenda. They don't have it pre-planned. And
Right.
Jim, the owner of Fit Foods, used to tell me, he said, if you don't pre-plan and you don't have, you know exactly what your agenda is for every single account, that's a really expensive visit, a really expensive day trip.
Absolutely. What's your time worth? You're nailing it on the head. And it's
Exactly.
interesting because we've started And Jeff, who I wish was here, he would love to hear this. We have a program now within the dojo we call Special Ops. All right, Spec Ops. And OPS stands for Objection Prevention System, which leads people down a proper rapport building and discovery process. So, what's discovery? What questions do I ask? What sequence do I ask these questions? When do I get to a point where, because there's a roadmap to a sale, and most people skip parts of the roadmap and they go right to pitch. So, and this is, I think, is a perfect spot to start wrapping this up, Ryan. I mean, if people want to learn a little bit more about you and a little bit more about, what it is, what Fit Foods is and stuff like that, if they want to maybe follow you on social media, where can they find you?
I'm on the only social media I do. Don't forget how old I am.
Dude, I'm old school too. I got Chaz and Jeff, and they're laughing at me all the time. I'm like, what button do I hit?
Exactly. My daughter had to help me set up my Instagram account. I am on Instagram.
All right.
That's about all I do. Other than that, they can.
What's your Instagram handle if anybody is curious? Because I mean, again, even if you're not posting all the time, it'd be great for people to start following you because you've got a wealth of information for people, even if they're not in the fit foods or supplementation industry. I'm going to encourage you start following Ryan. There's some great stories there. Where can they follow you?
They can get me at Fit Foods Island Ryan. So Fit Foods Island Ryan. Pretty simple.
There it is.
Yeah, shoot me a message, whatever. If anybody's ever wants to have a further chat, we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to encourage it. Ryan, we were just getting, our show is trying to do this in roughly 20 minutes. We're almost at 30. So I appreciate Chaz letting me know that I got to start wrapping this up. I definitely want to have you back because there's just so much information and so much experience that you have in the sales game. It'd be great. You have so much knowledge to offer. I really appreciate you taking the time. So thanks, man. And for those listening, those watching, this has been another Courage to Grow. Like when you listen to what Ryan's story is, where he started and where he is now, he's literally living the dream. I've been to his home. It's unbelievable. And he's fostered relationships. So we've got another great guest next week on the Courage to Grow show. Thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button, click the like, and Chaz, take us out.